Hi, it's Coach MK. I know that there's a race going on this weekend. Sorry for everyone doing Dopey and Goofy that I didn't get to you sooner, but it's Dopey and Goofy, and you probably aren't awake to get input. Anyway, you're out either enjoying the park or totally crashed out. Either way, I hope you're having an amazing time. But for those of you that are running a marathon in the happiest place on earth tomorrow, I want to make sure you got a little bit coaching and loving before the day was over. So bear with me. I just want to have a few high-level thoughts, questions you need to ask yourself, and I'm going to talk about why. So without further ado, what usually happens in a race situation, races are fun. There's all kinds of anxiety and there's all kinds of excitement. And nothing is quite like Disney, where all of that excitement is really in one place and it's under one roof, and you can't go anywhere. You can't walk 5 feet without running into somebody else who's racing too and just super excited to be there. It is truly one of the happiest races on the planet because everyone wants to be in Disney, and it's kind of a twofer. I want to run a marathon, I want to go to Disney, it's going to be a terrific day. And it should be. Here's the rub though. Most people don't think about what that day is or could bring. So they aren't quite sure how to feel about it while it's happening or when it's finished. So if you find yourself in conversation with someone else who, maybe it's their 5th or 6th and they have a real solid strategy and they're just running it by you because what else are you going to talk about? And everyone's looking for validation, right? What they want to hear you say is, yeah, that's a great idea. That sounds good. It's not a true assessment, right? Because why in the world would you go to a stranger to give you a brand new race strategy the day before the race, right? If you're coached and you're loved, then you're winning at life, and you're there because you know what you're doing, and hopefully you're also there because you really like Disney. If you don't, seriously, why are you there? This is not cheap. This is a really expensive event. So, with no further ado, the questions that I always want my clients to ask themselves at the beginning of a training cycle, but never, ever, ever do, unless we're working together one-on-one, because I ask you all this before I'll even take on a private client. So the first one is like, what do I need to get in general? What do I need to get out of the day, out of the training cycle? Because you see, trying to set goals the day before the race, it's too late. Like, we are in it. Oh, you really need this to be a PR now because of all the money you spent? The money you spent, we could spend double that and still not get a PR. Like, one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. It's not about money. There is a trade-off when it comes to many things in life that's about time versus money. At the same time, 3 days before the race, you got neither, right? Because, I mean, when time is gone, you got nothing to play or negotiate with. So what do I really need to get out of this? Everyone gives the right answer, but they conflate the right answer with the true answer, which is like, what do I want to get? So when we think about what do we need to get, and by the way, this is the framework I use for most major decisions that I make, especially the ones that involve either more time than I want to spend or money than I think I have available to spend on something, okay? And since training and racing in general, not specifically Disney more so, because you're more limited as to how you get to the start line, for example, or where you stay. But generally speaking, what am I here for? What am I actually buying? A lot of people think that they're buying one-on-one coaching or private coaching is specifically to get a PR, but what we're spending more money for sure. But if we still only have the same time frame that you'd be using if you had downloaded a plan from a free plan, a terrific plan from Hal Higdon online, I would argue you're not necessarily changing the outcome there, right? So what do I really need to get? You have committed to running a race in the happiest place on earth. I would argue, I can't answer this for you, but I'm just saying let's keep the needs very simple. 3 is almost too many. What I need to do is enjoy myself, because it's Disney. If you're in the happiest place on earth and you're unhappy, you're doing it wrong, okay? Number 2, for example, if you're traveling with your girlfriends, you probably want to have a great weekend with your girlfriends. If you're traveling with your family, you probably want to have a not terrible experience with your family. But you're understanding you're bringing your family with you to Disney to run a race with a 2:30 a.m. wake-up call. There's going to be quite a bit of this experience that you won't get to spend with your family. right? And one of those things that you might not get at all is a solid night's sleep the night beforehand. So that's something to think about. What I need to do you even need to finish the marathon? Most would say yes. If I don't finish, if I DNF, if I DNS for anything other than injury, I'm not going to feel good about myself. Okay, so what do we need to get? We need to enjoy ourselves in one form or fashion, working with what we've got. And maybe I need to get, I don't know, a medal out of the experience because I'm determined to finish because I want to have that medal. Fine. I mean, again, I'm not here to judge it. I'm just here to say, think about it before you start. Because here's where people go wrong, sideways, and get really greedy. What do I want to get? We're fresh out of Christmas, and you guys probably saw some wish lists for Santa Claus that were borderline fucking delusional, right? Every single toy they've ever seen on TV, every single toy their friends have. So those Santa Claus lists can get absolutely out of control. That's why I don't let my kids make them. I know what mine used to look like, and I don't want theirs going anywhere near it. So, what do I want to get? I would love to have a PR. I would love to break 3 hours. You can go crazy. And just be sure you're writing all this down, by the way, because when you see it on paper, there's a big difference than when you're talking about it and saying, no, I'll remember. There's something about seeing it, kind of like a training plan. So what do I want to get? Start writing it down. And if it's more than 2 or 3 items, again, you might be asking for a lot, because what you want to get and what you need to get are generally going to be 2 very different scenarios, right? So then this question matters more at Disney than at just about any other race. Again, because you're probably traveling with your girlfriends, you're probably traveling with your family. You're probably adding a race onto an experience because of the really high cost of participating in this event. So then the next question is, okay, now what do I not want to miss? This whole idea of having it all is noble, and it's great, and it worked at the time. Women absolutely should be able to work and take care of themselves and own the bank account that puts their own paycheck in it without having to hand it over to a dude, right? So that was appropriate back then, but kind of where we are now. Having it all has gone from the basic infrastructure to be able to support myself to something akin to my kid's Santa Claus list. Is kind of greedy. I want to go, I want a PR, I want to eat all the food, have all the drinks, have no sleep, have a great day, fun with my kids, be present the whole time. It's like, whoa, okay, that is already not going to happen due to the 2:30 a.m. wake-up call on race day, because there's only one way to get to the start line, and that's their way. This is private property that you're going to be racing on. So when you think about what it is that you don't want to miss, make sure you're aware of that before you start making commitments. Because if you're staying there for a week, and I have several clients who are, and they're staying there for the week after the race, if you go out there and with the intent of squeezing every drop of performance out of your body, realistically, what's the best case scenario? If we were running somewhere flat and not humid and the weather's perfect, if everything was perfect, are we talking about potential of breaking 3? Because you're still at Disney and it's really busy. Are we talking about maybe like a 4.5-hour marathon? And there's no shade in a 4.5 marathon. But there's a big difference between running a 4:30 marathon that is the best you could possibly hope for under any conditions everywhere, like everything that you've got, and running a 4:45 or even like a 5:15 marathon. And the difference is how you're going to feel the next day. Let me tell you, even no matter how long you've been doing this, no matter how properly trained you are, if you've given a marathon distance a true race effort, walking the next day is not going to be comfortable. So if that thing that you don't want to miss is the next 4 days at enjoying Disney with your family, with your friends, or just enjoying Disney, period, then we might need to rethink a little bit of what we need or want to get out of this race before we show up to the start line and have a very short-term vision of performance, and only think about the finish time. Because there are other cool things happening at Disney that don't happen anywhere else, right? You've got those professional photographers all over the course. There are usually lines, right? So if you say to yourself, okay, well, I'm going for time, I'm not going to wait in the lines, or if you're like me and you just don't do lines, that is fine. Check it out first, though. See what other people have done. There are pictures online. people will go back the next year and say, I wish I waited in this line. And so this year I did, and it was worth it because here's the photo, right? If you're not one that's going to be going back every single year because this was already a stretch, you need to think about that, right? If you already accept like, hey, no, man, I do Disney every year, cool. I'm not talking to you, but that isn't really the majority of my clients. They might do Disney every year, but they don't do Disney Marathon Weekend every year. There might be something different and slightly special about this trip that you haven't done before. So don't ignore the specialness of it and put the race first. If the race and the performance isn't really what we're here for, and we haven't been specifically training for performance for 24, 26, 32 weeks, okay? So what do I not want to miss is a pretty important question. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not in a training cycle right now. I'm not going to get this time back with a newborn. So I'm not having another newborn. My body can't do it. So I'm not in a training cycle. I'm just trying to make sure that I stay uninjured, that my back doesn't get worse, my spine doesn't get worse, that I'm keeping up with all the rehab work I have to do. And I'm not setting goals that could cause me to lose focus of the last baby I'm ever going to have at home or the rehab, because the second one of those becomes more important, this is time I'm not going to get back, right? That time that I feel a little more intensely now with my fourth child, that was a little less important with my first and second because we knew we wanted a third and fourth. I'll have this again, it'll be fine. So yeah, think about, is anything going to be happening that might not happen again soon, or is this situation one that might not be repeated anytime soon? Think about what is it that you don't want to miss, and make sure that that thing you really need to get, or that thing you really want to have and can't be happy without, doesn't require you to miss something that you don't really want to miss. That's important. And then the third one, what is the likeliest scenario? So let's say I really want to break 3 hours in the marathon. Okay, great. Is that likely to happen now? Are you there yet? No. Okay. Or I really want to break 4 hours because I get this a lot. I'm going to Disney, I want to race, and I want a PR because that's my goal for this year. And I'm like, that might be, if I've been coaching, anyone that I've been coaching one-on-one, like I said, I've already had this conversation, but in the larger group programs that I work with, less so. And it's harder because I'm not trying to say, I don't think you're capable. I'm not trying to say, let's lower your expectations a little bit. I just want to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want and what you need to have, because that is what I care about. I give a crap if you go out there and PR. You've got nothing to prove to me, right? But this is your day. It's my day. It's your day, and you need to go get what you need to get without sacrificing anything that you don't want to miss, okay? So when you think about the likeliest scenario, that is most important to reconcile with your wish list, your wants list. So when you look at that big long list of things that you want to have happen this weekend, how many of those are likely to happen? You really want to PR the marathon. All right, well, this, again, if you're thinking about it now and you haven't discussed or thought of it before, and you haven't been doing the strength training, and you haven't really been paying attention to your nutrition, and you haven't really gotten all the long runs in, or all of the runs at all, because it was a Disney race, and we've been going through this training cycle because it's a Disney race and we didn't want the pressure, then why are you applying pressure at the last minute, right? So why are you demanding the least likely scenario when you haven't been training for that scenario, right? So not to say you can't have goals ever, you just can't make them up during the taper or after you start shelling out the money to get to the race itself, because those two ideas have to be mutually exclusive. You're paying that money to be there, and it's worth it if you enjoy the experience and get a medal, and without missing any of the things that you're there to miss. If you make it about the finish time, no finish time is ever going to be fast enough for you. I promise you that. Ask any elite, any professional, it's the fastest people on the planet, if it was worth it. If they didn't make the Olympic trials, if they never earned enough money that they could only run professionally, those are the people we don't get to hear from, and their answers are probably a little bit different than the professional runners that you follow and get excited about on Twitter and at the major marathons. So there's a whole lot, at least like 1,500 is the last estimate that I saw of people, runners in the U.S. that are right there, right at it, and probably could be contenders, if they didn't have full-time jobs, needed health insurance, had other responsibilities. So again, huge trade-offs here, and yay for us, we don't have to make any of those hard choices. So that means we don't have to and should get out of the habit of demanding performance and ratcheting up the pressure as the date gets closer and as the cash outlay gets really real. Because the final question is, once we've talked about once you've laid out the likeliest scenario, it's probably going to be a 4-hour, 30-minute marathon. But you know what? If they have the photographers that I saw and the lines are really short, you know, I might stop and have a few photos. So it's actually probably going to be a 5-hour, 15-minute marathon. Okay, great. How do you feel about that? Well, if I get a really good photo and I get the medal and I'm able to walk for the next 3 days and enjoy, then I think I'll be okay with it. You really need to address that likeliest scenario and address your feelings about it before you start. Otherwise, you're just making shit up every step of the way, and you're going to ruin that trip and that experience, not just for you, but for everyone traveling with you that's like, man, just eat the funnel cake. Why won't you eat this funnel cake with us? Oh my gosh. You know, and I harp on that because I have celiac and I haven't had a funnel cake since I was a little kid, and I hear they're supposed to be amazing at Disney. So if you are one of my clients and you're running Disney this weekend and you eat a funnel cake, take a snapshot of you enjoying it and send it my way. So these are the questions that if we were talking one-on-one, I would be asking you right now. These are the conversations I've had with my private clients that are going to Disney this week, well, actually that are already there, and these are sort of the parting thoughts. Because we had this conversation on the phone, you probably already know exactly what it is you need to get, and you're good with it. So when you finish, don't look in the mirror and start making things up. Don't look for ways to critically analyze yourself and be disappointed. Did I get what I came for? Yeah. Did I get what I needed? Yeah. Did I get any of the things that I wanted? Hell yeah. Then you are absolutely winning at life. Don't be, well, it could have been better, because that's some bullshit. That's how you have to be in that constant critique mode when you're the best of the best competing at the front, right? And you're trying to make sure that your best is better than the best of the person next to you, and that you've done everything that they've done, so that you can't walk away unable to pay your rent because you didn't get a podium finish, being okay with the last 2 or 3 months of preparation, right? We don't have that pressure. We don't need that pressure. We can enjoy ourselves and really should. There is no reason to walk away from Disney not feeling happy with yourself because of performance. You're in Florida, even though it's the middle of the winter, it can be really cold and humid. It can be really warm and humid. You could have absolutely anything happen because you're not at home. And even if you were at home, there are probably more outliers, because traveling with your family is like traveling without, it's on a vacation, but not really a vacation, because you have none of the comforts of home and the usual facilitators and things that help you calm them down, distract them so you can do your thing. All of that's out the window, especially if you're sharing one hotel room. So all that just to say, please take all of this into consideration. Be able to look yourself in the mirror the night before the race and say, I did all I was willing to do to prepare to be here. I'm going to go celebrate starting at 2:30 tomorrow morning, okay? Don't turn it into something it doesn't need to be. Don't ever apologize for your finish time. Most of the people you talk to don't really care. They're just going to watch you and listen to you talk. And if you do talk to somebody that's like, well, 5.5 hours, it's was that even worth the money to be there? Be like, fuck you. Have you been to Disney? Fuck you. That is a rude, terrible, horrible thing to say. Don't let anyone say that to you. I don't care how fast they are, how thin they are. What they have going that makes you kind of cringe instead of bite back at them, but that is an asshole thing to say. If a kid said that to your kid, you'd be after that kid and their mom too. So go after that adult that says that to you. You are just as valuable as your children. You're also coached, and you're loved, and you're winning at life if you're going to Disney this weekend and not here in sunny, warm Denver with nothing to play with. Yay!